This project is a small tunnel book, and you have a couple of ways you can do it. All the projects have options. This is my template, so when I make up my mock-up, I want to make it out of inexpensive paper. This fits perfectly. But even though I give you a mock-up, I would not just cut this template, I would not just cut this out and slap it on a piece of paper. I would go ahead and measure very carefully everything. It's okay to do it out of paper. I might use a stiffer Canson or Me-Tints paper. You could do a watercolor paper. Again, when you're doing your mock-up, you can go ahead and fold everything and work out the kinks. But if this was my actual book, my tunnel book, I would keep everything flat and decorate it with my content. This was inspired by a book from the library, and you have pictures of that, Brian King, and his book, and you also have examples from students. So basically, I am scoring all these edges. I've already scored. I've cut out my circle. It doesn't have to be a circle. It could be a rectangle or a shape that is organic. Then I have, these are the pages that are up here that I've cut out, 3, and there's spaces where I glue them. Then it's time to fold up my book. I also use a little hinge, a little brass, so my circle can turn. I poke a hole in there, put it through, split it open, a prong. Okay, so let's say I'm all good with it. This is the front of the book. The circle goes on the last page. It has 4 pages. And then the cover comes around behind that. And you can see I would glue that. And the side comes around, and I've done a slit. Right here's the slit. Mathematically, you work it out. And I would slide my circle through that. And then I have the top of the book that I would glue. Now I'm not gluing this because this is my mock-up for people to see, figure it out. But then I can turn my circle, and what people did, you'll see in the examples, they did different things. When the circle turns around, there's some little thing that happens. It can be very subtle. Also, that you have the option not to do a circle. You don't have to do this part. The book does not have to turn. It could just be a tunnel book, okay? That's out of paper. You could use beautiful Fabriano paper and do ink. You could use a printmaking paper or take an existing print and cut it up and then do something in here. We'll talk about it more later in person. Now, the other choice people did, they made it out of book board. So you have your sides, your top and bottom, the front and back of the book. Now, instead of doing a circle, I carefully measured this a 1/2 inch around and cut it over and over again, being very careful till I could pop that out. You could also take a little sandpaper if you think it's a little rough, or cut a little slivers off if it's not perfect. This is my mock-up, so I'm going to use my tape just to tape it together so I can see what it looks like. Okay, this is the bottom. I'm going to put the top right on the edge there. I might even put one on the inside just to hold it steady on the other side. I'm going to do the back the same way. do the sides. Now this one, you could put a wheel in it, but you don't have to. Again, you would cut your slit on the side. You can really, you know, this has the 3 pages. I mean, actually 4. You could do 3, you could, you know, anything can be optional. You kind of design it, and I give you an idea. And one would tape all this nicely. But, you know, if it was really my final, I'd be gluing it with PVA. But you get the idea. Now this is larger than the circle, looking through. There's a beautiful example of a tea house with a woman pouring tea, and it's done like a sushi screen. So it's up to your imagination. You can cover this with paper, you could paint it, you could cover it with book cloth. You could use 2-ply museum board and use colored pencil on it and color it, or walnut ink. Maybe the outside is black and white and the interior is color, so you have a high contrast. It's just up to your imagination. And so you have 2 choices how to do this project. Okay? That's it.